You are now listening to Protecting Your Nest with board-certified family medicine and obesity medicine specialist Dr. Tony Hampton. For more, visit drtonyhampton.com. Welcome to the Protecting Your Nest podcast. Using the language of metabolic health is something I do intentionally, primarily to socialize the term. And because poor metabolic health is associated with most of the so-called chronic medical conditions we suffer from. Many have defined poor metabolic health as not having normal numbers for your belly, your waist circumference, your triglycerides, which are your fats in your cholesterol panel, and your good cholesterol, your HDL. Those things, when they're not normal, that's considered poor metabolic health. Of course, that includes blood pressure and your blood glucose values as well. The good news is that poor metabolic health is reversible, not with pills, not with procedures and surgeries as much as in making lifestyle changes. The bad news is that only 6.8% of the U.S. population are metabolically healthy based on the research done at Tufts University. Even worse is that some ethnic groups are impacted at a higher scale. For example, diabetes is a metabolic disease, and most of us know that. And over a person's lifetime in the U.S., 40% of us have a chance of developing type 2 diabetes, unfortunately. But if you're from a Hispanic or Latin American population, the chances are 50%. And that's even at young ages. So and even worse, in that population, there is a higher rate of kidney failure as well as diabetes-related vision loss. So with the impact not being equal, it's critical that those who share the message of metabolic healing come from communities that represent all of us. And that's why I'm so excited to have today's guest. Today's guest is Maria Grangeno. Maria lives in San Antonio, warm San Antonio, Texas, and has used keto, ketovore, and carnivore to reverse her type 2 diabetes over the last 10 years. In her previous life, she was a Telemundo reporter and now works in the real estate business with her lovely family. And her role is the money person. She's the real estate broker. She is now also coaching, and her favorite hobby is helping people reverse type 2 diabetes and achieve metabolic health. She's especially passionate about helping the Spanish-speaking community do the same and learn the benefits of restricting carbs. With that, Maria, I'm so happy. I'm smiling on the inside and happy to welcome you to the Protecting Your Nest podcast. How are you doing this morning?
Thank you so much. I'm doing great. A little bit early, but I'm here.
That's right. Early birds. We're early birds,
Yes.
and the early bird gets the worm. And before we get started, Maria, I just wanted to let everybody know that you will be hooking up, tell your husband not to hook up that he's thinking about. You'll be hooking up with my son and my son, Brandon Hampton of the Ritmos Negros podcast. I always share his link in my video notes or my notes of my podcast because he's doing a great job, because he has his podcast in English and Spanish. So I thought, why not now? Since we're trying to reach communities all over the world, let's have him, since I'm not quite ready for the Spanish part, let's have my son host that episode. So I really appreciate you doing that as well. I also want you to know that Dr. Hampton has a history in real estate as well. I was a real estate broker, not the mortgage, not the loan guy, but I was a real estate broker probably midway through my career for about 10 years, helping investors buy real estate, believe it or not. I don't do that anymore. My wife said, you need to be a doctor. Can you be a doctor, please? So I love real estate. The Home and Garden channel is my favorite channel. So I understand your passion for real estate. So I guess even before we get started with some of the things I want to share, could you share a little bit about why real estate is something that you're passionate about? What got you into the real estate business?
Well, I started in Phoenix. When I went to get my master's in Spanish linguistics, my ex-husband, but anyway, that's a long story. Well, my ex-husband was a real estate agent, and he kept on complaining about loans. So I got into the loan business, and then I got into the real estate business. But our focus was always the Hispanic community, because they were first-time home buyers. They didn't know what to do. So we started giving like classes and how to buy your house with the FHA, conventional, all these programs that were there. And I really, really loved helping them because, well, that's where the diabetes comes into place, because those housewarming parties were tough. Let me tell
Yeah.
you, tamales, buñuelos, we were like family to them. So I would help them close a loan or a house. They would go ahead and have the housewarming party, which they didn't know what to do. I was like, yeah, you have to have a party. And oh my God, just food all over the place. And
Yeah.
that's what got me into the real estate business. So it was really nice to help out, my community. And
Yeah.
just the reward when, we take the picture in front of the house with the key. That's like the best feeling ever, ever.
Yeah, some of the things that inspired me as a physician was delivering babies because it's such an important moment. But when you think about important moments in people's lives, which is why real estate is so critical, it's important to get that first house. Not only is it a wealth builder, but it's one of the biggest purchases, if not the biggest, people will ever make. And we need loan people who we can trust. And when I was in real estate, there were a lot of loan people you couldn't trust. It was all about the numbers and trying to make more money on people. And they'd have these high interest loans when they didn't really, just to get a bigger broker commission. So I really appreciate having people like you who have integrity
Thank you.
in the business of real estate. So let's get started. In the intro, I talked a little bit about ethnic groups and how they're impacted differently metabolically. Let's begin our discussion by talking about your family's ethnic background, just to kind of level set for people. They'll know exactly who you are and what your family's all about.
Okay, well, I'm a Hispanic, right? We Chicana, Hispanic, whatever you want to call me. I'm one of those people that were born. I say thank you, Lord. I was born in East Chicago, Indiana, kind of close to where you're at,
That's right.
and it was a very weird feeling because my daughter-in-law, she's black and half Native American, and I asked her once, "Hey, how do you feel? Because it's like you don't fit in." And she was like, "Well, I'm too light for the black people, and I'm too dark for the white people." When she told me that, I was blown away because that's how I felt. I was
Mm.
in Indiana. Can you imagine Indiana in 1970s? And my mom and father were Mexican, and here I was born in the United States, and like they would let us speak English, but I mean Spanish, but it was kind of weird because I was like the only Mexican girl that was going there. And it was really, really weird because I, it, when we would have our parties, my parties were really Mexican. My birthday parties, the tamales and all the tortillas
That's
and the
right.
beans and the rice and everything. And then my friends would come and they were all like, "Oh, okay, what's going on here?" But it's just like a cultural shock. So I
Mhm.
was in between. When things changed was when I moved to Texas. I moved to Texas when I was 11 years old.
Mhm.
So when I got here to San Antonio, Texas, I felt a little bit better.
Mm.
But then I was kind of light for the Mexicans, and then they used to call me white bread, and I was like, "What?" So I never felt like I really fit in. And
Yeah.
but with that being said, uh, I've gotten really nice opportunities to get to meet people all over the world, especially being the first college graduate for my
Mhm.
family. So
Yeah. I love
I'm
that.
sorry,
Yeah.
I totally forgot that question you asked, my ethnic
Yeah.
background.
You
But
know what?
yeah, huh.
I love it. Let me tell you what I feel as I listen to you. I feel that if we can embrace who we are, it has many advantages. It's important that we celebrate who we are. So people may come at us negatively about those differences, but we can flip it to positive by, yeah, I am, yeah, that's me. And I'm
Mhm.
gonna wear it proudly. And I think we need to wear it because it is something that it can diffuse some of that And again, people are who they are because of their life experiences. And if I'm just if I've never been, I remember going to a friend's wedding, and they were Indian, and not the indigenous Indian, but the in India. And man, the colors and it was like a freaking show for your eyes. It was like amazing. So, and I'm sitting there like, I couldn't, it was mostly done in their language. So that was kind of different. So I just think we embrace the differences, we celebrate them, and people are generally curious. And and I think part of why you are who you are is because you've gone through those experiences. So you're so passionate about being equitable and fair to people because of your own experiences, whether it's metabolic health related or real estate related. So I can feel why you've become who you are. And that's why we have a rope with an E. The E is for life experiences, and the life experiences define who we are. So let's embrace it. And I'm happy that you had a chance to do that. So let's talk a little bit. Let's go back to the culture question. So when it comes to culture, there are some things about our culture that helps us on our journey. And then there are some things about our culture that makes us struggle on our journey. So when you think about your culture, relative to your journey to become metabolically healthy, what's been helpful and what's been a challenge?
Right. I would have to say the way my mom and my family, my tias, always showed their love was by feeding me. I'd be studying, at 2 o'clock in the morning. And I remember during high school, and my mom would wake up, make me some hot chocolate and a panecito, a Mexican pastry. And I was like, oh, cool. Boom. I would eat it with my chocolate. Back then, I wasn't diabetic, but I mean, to me, I'm like, oh my God, my mom loves me, right?
Oh, yes.
And then I would go, but I was in between because I was going to high school, and everybody in high school was like, seriously, they were thin. I've always been on the full figure side. So I would go to the parties for my family here, and they're like, oh, mija, is she on a diet again? Oh, yeah. Oh, God. Why are you on a diet? Why are you on a diet? And then I'd be like, yeah, we can't be, I can't be overweight because it's not good for me. And she's like, oh my God, you're too skinny. Then I would go to the high school, or I would go to a party, and they were like, oh, you're kind of curvy, right? So I was like, I couldn't make anybody happy, I was like, I deviating from my family, then to my friends. And another thing I didn't add, I thought this was really funny. I was kind of narrow-minded. I always thought everybody was Mexican. Never thought about South America.
Right.
I found out about South America when I went to college, and I met a lot of people there. And then I felt kind of like, hey, there's some people like me.
That's right. There's a huge difference. Even South Americans, they don't have the same incidence of diabetes as like a Mexican, like in America. You know what I mean? So it's like, so it's not just the ethnic differences. Then you got to break it down even further. Not that we wouldn't want everybody to know about metabolic health, but there are some within the Latin American, Hispanic, Latinx community that are going to be at higher risk depending on the environment and the culture and the habits. So I think you're right. These are things that people who are not part of this culture would understand, in the sense that they're not living that. Because for example, for me, when I went to Xavier in New Orleans, which is, you got a lot of Creole people, and I wasn't light enough. My skin is not light enough to be, seriously. I mean, you go down there and it's like, everybody looks like Vanessa Williams, the old Miss America. And it's like, they would consider not even dating a guy like me because I'm not light enough. I don't have that. So it's just all kinds of subtle cultural things that are barriers to us just being happy together. Is your mom still alive?
No, both my I was a surprise baby, so they had me in the 40s.
Yes.
So both my parents already died.
They already passed. What was your mom's name?
Bertha.
So I want to do a shout out to your mom, Bertha. I hope she hears us, and just let her know that she created a beautiful daughter. And I want to give her grace, because she the fruit don't fall too far from the tree. So I already know that part of who you are is a reflection of your mom. So I want to just give her her due. Really appreciate. I love moms so much. So
Oh,
I do.
oh,
So
I would like to add, my mom.
mm,
I grew up with my mom couldn't hear at all, so
mm,
she spoke. So we had our own sign language. Like this was many, and this was
right.
fat, or this was
Wow.
skinny.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, she was awesome. She was for her
Yeah.
to when she came from this is a funny story. She was born in Texas, but back in those days in the 1920s, if you just picked up and left, you would just go across the border and just walk
Mm-hmm.
over there. They
Mm-hmm.
didn't ask anything,
Mm-hmm.
you could go and come back. So even though she was born here, she was raised in Mexico. But
Oh,
yeah,
okay,
she moved
cool.
over here with my dad. But go ahead,
Awesome.
because I
And
talk
by
a
the
lot.
way, and just from a cultural perspective, the person who raised, when you meet my son Brandon, when you guys do the Spanish version, Miss Guana Roman was the person who kind of served as a babysitter slash nanny, and so
Oh.
we have a strong connection. My son I think he was born to some spiritual Mexican mom because his whole because his whole focus as he does his podcast is all about connecting those two cultures. So we're gonna have to do a DNA test and see what's really going on.
Oh, okay.
Just curious.
Hello, D.
Anyway, let's go to the metabolic topic, and that's
Mhm.
diabetes. And when you were diagnosed with diabetes, tell me about the emotions of being diagnosed. What did it feel like to hear that big D word? What did you
Well,
feel?
actually, I really didn't even know. I mean, I was 21 because I got married. I moved to Colorado, and when I got pregnant, I got gestational diabetes.
Oh, okay, cool.
And so the doctor's like, look, I swear this is what she told me. You're pregnant. You're gonna want to eat, whatever you want. Go ahead and take some insulin, and count your carbs. Which to me, I didn't understand. I was like, what?
She
She goes,
did say count. She
count.
did say count carbs,
Yeah,
so I'll give
yeah.
her credit
She
for
said
that.
this, yeah. And she's
Yeah.
like, so I forgot what it was, like a certain amount of units for like, every 5 carbs or 10
Right.
carbs. I
Right.
forgot.
Yeah.
So, I was like, oh, okay. That means I could eat whatever I want. I go to McDonald's and I'd be like, oh, this is low fat. So I'd be, oh, it's low sugar. It's free, sugar free. So I'd eat my ice cream, and then I would look. Back then, the glucometers were kind of, I'm talking about 1992,
Mm-hmm.
91. They were kind of big,
Mm.
and it was a big old process that you had to do. And I'd always I'd always inject too much insulin.
Mm-hmm.
And I had sugar lows and highs. So
Mm-hmm.
I had the baby, and then I'm like, hey, what's going to happen now? Am I diabetic?
Mm.
Because by this time I was going to college. I kind of figured out what was going on. I got sad. But you know what she told me? Your gestational diabetes is going to go away. Bye,
Mm-hmm.
Felicia. I was like, oh, okay. Well, that's cool. So I had the baby. My tray came in normal. I'm never going to forget that. I got so happy because I got to eat cake and everything without
Mm-hmm.
taking insulin. And they never even tested me to see if I was
Mm.
diabetic.
Mm-hmm.
And I was diabetic.
Mm.
Reason why I found out was because I started feeling sick. Like I would get
Mm.
nauseous, blurry vision. And I went to the doctor, and then they just gave me a pill, a metformin.
Mm-hmm.
They said,
Mm-hmm.
there you go. I think either that one or glyburide, but I think it was metformin.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I was kind of like, I was, I wasn't depressed. I was just,
Mm-hmm.
oh wow. And a lot of people in my family, come to think of it, were also diabetic.
Mm.
And I knew like my tia Sara was diabetic. She'd
Okay.
be eating cake, right? And I'd be like, oh, I guess it's okay. And
Right.
I didn't even think about it. So, when you're young, your metabolism's still
Yeah,
working.
you can
Because
get away.
yeah, I was
You can get
getting
away with
away.
a
I,
lot.
I would
Yeah.
take my sugars, and they were like 130, 140 after a big old meal. So it really, really didn't affect me till I kind of hit middle age.
Mm-hmm.
That I was like blown away by the diabetes too.
Well, there's a few messages here. One is that I love the fact that the doctor said you should focus on carbs. What they probably didn't say is that if you eat the right foods, you won't have to worry about taking as much insulin. And oh, by the way, if you eat the right foods, you won't be chasing these high sugars with more insulin, which will then end up being a low blood sugar because you took too much. It's very difficult, especially for a type 1, to predict with a degree of accuracy exactly what you need. And one of the things I mentioned in a previous podcast is that the labeling folk are allowed to be off by 20%. So if it says 20 carbs on a package, it could actually mean 16 or 24. So you're guessing the whole time. So if that's true, well, how about if I eat a 4-carb food? I won't need as much insulin. So the chance of becoming hypoglycemic or hyperglycemic is much less because I ate the wrong food. If I eat an egg omelet, I hardly need any insulin, if any. You may need a little, and so we have to learn these nuances, because if we don't, then we're going to struggle when we didn't have to. If you're a type 1 diabetic and you eat a steak, you still need insulin, but you may not want to take a Humalog, which is too quick acting. You may want to take a Humulin, which takes a little longer to act, and then you won't have a hypoglycemia. So it's all these, and that's why we have to get better at this, because if we don't, people will try to do keto, and then they'll say, I'm always low in my sugar, because maybe they're type 1. Now, type 2 will just get off of insulin. But type 1 is like, I can't really do it because they don't understand these nuances. So thank you for kind of giving us a sense of that. And I also want to say that 50% of the people who are gestationally diabetic, my wife was, by the way, her story is just like yours. She got diabetes in her pregnancy. Oh, I can eat cake now because it went away. And yes, most of the time it does go away. In fact, I think that's why she was so upset when she found out she was type 1, because she knew it was kind of a long-term deal. But I'm going to tell you something. Half the people are going to be diabetic when they have gestational diabetes. That's why it's so important that we do test people and then also train them on lifestyle so that they'll decrease the risk of that at the end of the day. So, okay, so let's talk a little bit about, you learned obviously that keto, low carb, ketovore was the key. So what was the thing that led to you realizing that was the solution? What happened that got you?
This was really crazy. In 2002, so my father was a pastor. So I was raised in a very religious background. No TV, no makeup, no everything was a sin. Everything. So I would read a lot, right? I didn't have a TV, didn't have radio. I would read a lot. So I hate to say this, but this is the truth. I always say, when my dad died, God rest his soul, I loved him. I always wanted to be a reporter. But remember, we couldn't watch TV, right? So when he died, it took me like 8 years to go back to school, because I got a degree in teaching. So when I went back to school, I went in for communications. I was over there in Denver, Colorado, and I was like 175 pounds. And I did an internship at Univision. And they kind of told me, I know this is sad, but it's true. They said, you're going to have to lose some weight. You're a little bit on the chunky side. I was like, okay. Well, guess what I found? I found the Atkins book, the Atkins diet. I think it was 2001 or 2002. And I got on that diet. Man, I got skinny. I got so skinny, Telemundo hired me. I used to do the producing show, and because TV is all about what you look like back in the day, So I got on the Atkins diet, and one of the reasons why I kind of left it was because I didn't know about electrolytes. But I got so sick, like the keto flu. I thought I was dying. And then back in the day, the doctors was like, "Oh, you're gonna die. You can't be doing that. That's the worst that you." And it wasn't even the keto diet. It was the carnivore diet. All I ate was meat. Oh, I loved it. I was eating chicharrones, carne asada, fajitas, everything, except no carbs. And lost all the weight. I stayed like that for a year, but I was always feeling sick. And I think it was the electrolytes. So then fast forward, I went from Denver. Oh, I had to leave the job. I decided to go for my master's at Arizona State University. And when I got there, that's when I got into real estate with my ex-husband, who is from Bolivia. She's from
Mm.
South America.
Cool.
And when I got over there, it was a very, very stressful job. Real estate it's the money's good, but it's stressful.
Yeah, you don't know when it's
Stressful.
coming. That's the
You
problem
don't
with
know
real
when
estate.
it's
You don't know when
coming,
it's coming. Yeah.
You're it's not 100% done until funds get transferred. The
Right.
bank funds, because you could be signing and the deal will fall through.
I've
It
been
will
there.
fall through.
It was
And you're like,
horrible. Yeah.
oh, but my bills. Oh,
Right,
after that,
right.
that's not going to happen today. So what I did is I got really, really stressed. And that's when my diabetes started getting out of control. This was
Mm.
already like 2006, 2007. So we moved to San Antonio, and I remember going to the doctor. I kid you not, and my A1C was 14.1.
Mm, mm,
And
mm.
she told me, "You're going to the hospital from here." I said, "I can't. I have a closing tomorrow. What is wrong with
Mm.
you?" I was the mortgage broker, and my husband was the real estate broker. I said, "I
Mhm.
can't." She goes, "Well, you're gonna die if you don't go." I said, "Oh well." I put God in it. Always blame God, right? Oh well, if that's what God wants, that's what's gonna happen. So I didn't die, thank you, Lord. But I started getting a lot of symptoms, like my feet. I guess like neuropathy. My
Yeah.
feet would get swollen. I couldn't feel them. Blurry vision. I was
Mm.
kind of like at 200 pounds, give or
Mhm.
take. I had gained weight. So now I forgot the question. Why am I going through this? Okay, so we're getting close to the keto. So all this happened, and in 2013, I remember my son Michael had just gotten his bachelor's in Virginia. He came to
Mhm.
visit, and he was fasting.
Mhm.
I said, "Oh my God,
Yeah,
you
what are you doing?
cannot be fasting. What are you doing? You
Right.
are gonna die." And there I was being like the doctor. And then he went through the keto flu too. He needed
Mm.
electrolytes, and
That's
I would
right.
see that he was kind of sicky. So what I started doing is I started researching, and I found Jason's son. And in
Mm.
fact, I always like to say that Megan Ramos was one of the people that I spoke to that was kind of leading me. And she told me
Mhm.
the first day that I met with her, she's like, "Well, um, fast for 72 hours." I was like, "What?" She's like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah. You're diabetic too. Everything's out of whack." And I did it, and
Wow.
then that's when I started seeing a difference, like with
Yeah.
my diabetes. But being the Mexican that I am, I would get on the bandwagon and then I would fall off. And then I would
Right.
be, this was my secret. It's okay, I'll fast tomorrow. You know, I'll
Right.
fast tomorrow. I'll fast tomorrow because fasting always worked
It
for me.
always will. That's right.
Yeah, and but I was doing like keto, and then after that, I guess my sugars would go up and down, up and down, up and down.
Mhm.
And I already told you this. Um, I got on a medication that was like just like Ozempic. This
Mhm.
medication back in the 2014, 15, I think, or 16, was
Mhm.
Farxiga or Jardiance.
Mhm.
Oh my God. If I was getting the keto food and I had electrolyte imbalance, when I took
Mm-mm.
that medicine, it put me into ketoacidosis.
Yeah, don't do Jardiance. FYI to anybody listening, those drugs that make you
No.
pee out glucose is a disaster. So if you're doing keto, low carb, carnivore, and you're diabetic, Jardiance, do not take those medicines. They will increase your risk for metabolic acidosis. So
Oh
totally
my
get
God, it
that.
was horrible. And
Yeah.
I went into the hospital. I remember 2018. My sugar wasn't even high. It was like 120, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So they put an insulin drip on one arm and then like a sugar drip on the other one.
Mm-hmm.
So when I came out of the hospital in 2018, or yeah, 18, I was like on 100 units of insulin. And they said, "You're like a diabetic 1.5."
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, a little like 2, 3 months later, I had a heart attack.
Mm.
So
What?
I died. Yep, I died. I was 47 because I'm 52 right now. I was 47 and I died, and I didn't see a light at the end of the tunnel. I didn't see that. But I am going to tell you something. I am going to tell you something. I was like floating and it was all dark. And you know what I thought? I said, "Man, I don't have to make any mortgage payments. I don't have to worry about anything. This is
Mm.
so peaceful." Right?
Wow.
And then I had one of my kids in college, and I said, oh my God, who's going to pay his rent in
That's right.
Denver? I'm like, wake up, wake up, wake up. And then I think I told you this. When I woke up, the doctor said, you know what you asked me? And I said, what? And I thought, oh, my son, right? He's like, no, would you like to buy a house? Would you like to buy a house? And
Funny.
then right there is when I thought, oh my God, I don't have the luxury of falling off the bandwagon
No,
anymore. I
no.
don't. And I felt my grandma used to say, you learn by experience or you learn by other people's experiences. And I had to learn from my experience because I died. But that's my story, I died. I came back, and
Yeah.
that's when I started switching. And not even did I start doing something about it, because I was still in shock. I was like, what? 47? I heard, what is going on? So little by little, because I am very insulin resistant, I started changing my eating habits. And then to, right now, what I've been doing a lot is I've been reading a lot on keto, and then it transferred to ketovore, and then sometimes I do carnivore. Kind of lazy though. I do carnivore because I work so much that I don't want to eat veggies. I only eat veggies on the weekends, an avocado or some veggies. But I think I got off the subject already.
Yeah, but that's excellent, because you have some wonderful nuggets. The first is Giardia is very important at those. They're called selective inhibitors of sodium glucose cotransporter 2. Abbreviated is SGLT2 drugs, and they essentially lead to glucose leaving your body. So let's think about this logically. I'm going to take a drug which is going to put more sugar through my kidneys, which doesn't sound like a good idea in the first place, since diabetes is the number one cause of kidney disease. I'm going to increase my risk for a urine infection. I'm going to increase my risk for metabolic acidosis. I may improve my A1C by 1 point based on research. 1 point, the drug probably retails for $800 or $900 a month. What the heck are we doing? And all I have to do is don't take in the sugar or the carbs so you have to pee it out. That's a much better solution. It's cheaper. You don't have to have all these risks and end up in a hospital nearly dead. Now, the second takeaway is, if you didn't hear it from me, you heard it from Maria. If you have diabetes, your risk for a heart attack is equal to a person who's already had a heart attack. So in this idea that a normal blood sugar, A1C of 7 is okay, is a farce. Because if it's not normal for Dr. Hampton, who's not a diabetic, then it's not normal for a diabetic. Normal is less than 5.6 A1C. And if it's even borderline elevated, it's still going to cause blindness, diabetes, amputations. It's just going to take a little longer to get there. So my goal for everybody watching is, let's not end up in a hospital with metabolic acidosis or a heart attack when we simply need to reduce the poison, which is the carbs. So I really appreciate you sharing that. I'm curious though, beans, rice. I went to school in New Orleans, and we had beans and rice all the time, right? And I do, now I do cauliflower rice, right? My question to you, because beans and rice are both starchy, what in the heck? How do you work with people that you're inspiring to get them to get those things off the plate when that's part of their culture?
It's hard, because it's really hard. But we make what's called borracha beans. Okay, so borracho means drunk, and beans, frijoles, borracho frijoles, beans. So we put tomatoes, cilantro, onion, bacon, and then we put beans. So it's just the taste. It's the bacon that gives those beans that really good taste. So I'll try to do something like that, but with like mushrooms, maybe, some vegetables. It won't work all the time, but that's what we do for the beans. The rice, well, yeah, the cauliflower. But this is what I tell them. Okay, I know you're gonna eat your beans, and I know you're gonna eat your rice. You don't want to eat my cauliflower. They say that, oh, cauliflower gets to be gassy. That's what they tell me. They tell me in Spanish. But wait, I don't want to eat that. I tell them, at least, because we're always doing barbecues, eat the carne asada first. Eat your protein first.
Yes.
because that's going to make you feel full. And
That's
they're like,
right.
can I eat it with some fat? And that's where I kind of get hesitant, because then I'm like, oh man, they're eating the tortillas, because we don't eat one tortilla. We eat
Right.
a
Of
dozen,
course.
one
That's right.
dozen, or 2 dozen, but we're not
Woo.
going to eat not one. So I've been. It's crazy, because now my whole family, even my husband, my
Mm-hmm.
husband's Mexican. Number
Mm-hmm.
2 is Mexican. Oh my God, like 14 tortillas. I can't stand him. He's 160
Wow.
pounds. He's a contractor. He eats whatever he wants. But you know what he does? And he doesn't even notice it. He fasts. He usually
Mm.
does OMAD. He'll eat in the evening, or
That's
he'll
right.
eat at 12 and he won't eat anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
So now, Saturday, we were all like sitting down. I freaked out. No, there was no rice. There was no beans. We were all just eating meat, carnivore. I was like, "Woo!" And I'm not gonna say anything, because if I say something, then everybody's gonna want the rice and the beans.
That's
But
right.
I tell them, eat the protein first. Eat the protein first.
Yes.
And if that doesn't work, you know what I do?
Mm-hmm.
I walk around in parties with my glucometer,
Mm.
and I take everybody's sugar. Everybody's pre-diabetic.
Everybody.
And they're like in the
Seriously.
120s,
That's right.
110s, and
That's
they're
right.
like, and then I get Ken Berry's book that he came in November, and I won the book that he has about the labs and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And then it's a big old book, and then I open it and I'm like, look,
Right.
pre-diabetic, and they're like,
Right.
oh my God, and then they'll be like, okay, can I talk to you? I'm like, sure, I'll
That's
give you a
right.
free consultation, because
That's right.
I help everybody, and I don't charge. To me, the gratification is at least making a difference,
Yeah.
right?
Well, you're
So,
doing that. And you said multiple times fasting. So I want to reiterate that
oh God,
bariatric
best
sur
thing.
bariatric surgery will reverse diabetes, at least temporarily, quickly. But if there's a number one or a number two other than that, is fasting. So Jason Fong, his team, my patients who are going to take that approach can get off their insulin within a month. Easy. Fasting will reverse diabetes quickly. You have to do it in the context of a doctor who understands it, so you don't, bottom out and you're taking too much insulin while you're doing it, et cetera. So I think that's really important. The other thing you said that's really critical is protein. Again, essential amino acids, protein, essential fatty acids, fat. There's no essential carbs. So Eskimos eat fish. The Maasai tribe in Kenya eat buffalo and its blood and milk. You don't need to eat carbs ever to live. So people need to hear that. Well, I need my brain needs sugar. Of course it does, but your protein and fat will be converted through gluconeogenesis to glucose. So you don't ever need it from the outside of your body. You can get it from you don't have to get it from carbs. So I just want to emphasize that, and I really appreciate that. And I just wanted to ask you, I know you're so inspired to help people. You're even going to do it for free if you need to, which is amazing. But you also, I know you're interested in starting an organization to spread this healing message. So what's your thoughts? What's your vision?
Okay, I'm getting what's the title? Metabolic health practitioner
Yes.
certification through Network Nutrition. But I got this little bug, and you're the one that started it, because I've been watching all your videos. And I noticed that you said that you're getting your master's in nutrition.
Yes.
And I was thinking of, because San Antonio there's a big, huge need for obesity in kids. Oh my God, it's so sad. It's so sad. I see my friends, they're all on Facebook taking pictures of their kids. Their kids are chubby, and on the buffets, the Chinese buffets, the Mexican buffets, all the buffets, right? And I'm like, and my husband gets embarrassed, because I'll go up to them and I'll be like, your baby's kind of overweight. I'll tell them in Spanish. First, I'll befriend them. So anyways, so I was thinking of maybe getting my master's in nutrition. First, I'm almost finished with my nutrition network classes. I've taken Eric Westman's classes. I took Tim Noakes classes. I've taken a lot of classes during my 10 years. So my next step is probably to start a studio. I want to start a studio where people could go, they could do meditation. With the Hispanics, meditation is the devil. You know, like I remember my tia saying, "Oh my God, you know, she's meditating. That's not good." And then I was like, "Tia, it's okay." She goes, "No, because your mind goes somewhere else." And I'm like, "No, Tia, this is to relax." And I even did a little meditation with her. So I want to open up a studio so I can get people in there and maybe start giving free yoga classes, Zumba, some weight classes. And then this way I could go in and talk to them about nutrition. Also, Dr. Ken Berry told me to, if I couldn't get the studio yet, to just rent a space at the library and start giving my talks about that. So I already met up with a program director, and I'm going to start a nonprofit organization. So we can help people eat more protein. I think I had told you I want to give away eggs, but eggs are kind of expensive right now, but but that's what I wanted to do. Yeah, I thought, man, eggs were not expensive a couple of months ago. But anyways, maybe I'll buy a farm, right? Have some cows and some chickens and give away the meat and the eggs. Who knows?
We were in Mississippi recently, and I want to do a shout out to Anastasia, my wife's family, and her husband, Don. I want to do a shout out to them because I get there and it's like 100 acres, no house to be seen, cows, peaceful.
Wow.
I'm like, why wouldn't anybody want to live like this? It's really nice, and and he likes being outdoors a lot. So anyway, shout out to them for the things that they're doing to remind us that that's not a bad way to live. I certainly, but I'm gonna tell you something. Education is important. You mentioned Nutrition Network. I think they're wonderful. Anybody trying to learn this way of healing, I think they're one of the best resources, the Nutrition Network.
God.
Yeah, I mean, it's a no-brainer. And I've taken some courses from Professor Tim Noakes as well. He's been a previous guest on the podcast. But I also want to say that the knowledge doesn't just help you teach, but it also builds credibility. So when you're trying to get in, like for me in a large health system, having a master's in nutrition helps. I just wrote an article about hypertension, and it's going, it's saying, don't worry about the salt as much as you think, focus on the sugar. And when you're saying stuff like that, you better have some credentials, because the people are going to have a fit. They're going to publish that this week for Advocate Health in their, newsletter. So, and we're just going to try to keep messaging that people have to think differently about this. So, and I want to also say, you kind of suggested I kind of inspired you, but we're all being inspired. We're inspiring each other. You're inspiring me. Dr. Ken Berry is the main reason why I started making YouTube videos. He's inspiring you, and he's a great guy. So I think we just have to inspire each other. So now we're wrapping up, but I wanted to ask you just real quick, some of your favorite, replacements. You're dealing with people who are struggling. We talked about cauliflower rice. Are there other things, your go-tos, when people are like, I really like eating this, but I really, I know I'm not supposed to eat it. What do you do with that? How are you managing it?
Okay, this start created a little problem. I invite people over my house. The thing is I started going really quick. I was on like 100 units of insulin, and I got off of it by fasting. And I managed with the fasting and the ketovore and carnivore, I managed to lose like 50 pounds. So right now I'm like 150. So I started going to the gym. I didn't want to go to the gym anymore. But one day I woke up and I had so much energy. I felt really good. I shop at the thrift store. It's cheaper there. I could buy it with $10. I could buy a whole wardrobe, right? So I started going to the gym, and people started noticing, like, oh man, you look like you're getting some muscle, protein. And your waist, it looks smaller. I said, I don't have a chicken waist. So people are like, but this lady told me, I love pancakes. I love pancakes. I said,
right.
You know what? Come on over. And then she's like, why? I said, I'm going to make you some pancakes that are good for you. And she's like, are you serious? I said, yeah. So I made her, I kind of invented it because I follow Maria Emmerich a lot.
Oh,
she has all these delicious desserts. And I bought her cookbooks. And then there's another one that I see on Facebook a lot. But anyways, I kind of did my own little recipe. So I just put almond flour, some allulose. I put heavy cream. Anyways, I made her a keto pancake. She
Yes.
couldn't believe it was
Yeah.
keto. She's
Right.
like, what?
Yeah.
Yeah, I could eat this? I'm like,
Can't believe
yup.
it. Can't believe it.
I
Yeah.
said, you know what? That's my go-to. When I am craving sugar, I'll make keto pancakes
Yes.
or
Keto
sugar
pancakes.
or keto, what is it? Sugar cookies.
That's
So
right.
I invite a lot of people over my house, and my husband's like, "Who's that?" I'm like, "Oh, they wanted to see my cooking and blah blah."
That's
And
right.
he's
That's
like,
right.
"Oh my god." He goes, "You're just crazy. Just invite the whole family, just everybody, But it just teaches people they have no idea. They think everything has to have a lot of
They
sugar.
got keto everything. Like if you,
Hmm.
and that's a great nugget. Maria Emmerich, she was at the reverse carnivore. I saw her in Costa Rica. We're going to be in that documentary
Oh,
later in the year.
awesome.
She's
Can't
amazing.
wait.
We're also going to do something fun. We're making, you may have seen some of the animated videos me and my wife are going to be doing.
Yes, I
And
shared it. Everybody
yes,
liked
thank you. It's
it.
so cute. And what I'm
Yes.
gonna, so she's gonna be, she agreed to do a couple also with her husband. So look forward for that over the next month. But let me tell you something. Maria Emmerich, any food you like, a recipe will probably pop up. She has like probably 20 books. So I want to say that let's get to your how you're going to protect your nest over the next 12 months. Any particular area you want to focus on beyond what you've already stated?
Yeah, I wanna, as far as I'm concerned, my A1C is not perfect. My
Yes.
A1C is not 5.7. My A1C is 7.1.
Yeah.
And I spoke to the doctor, and he's like, "You're just really insulin resistant. Just keep on doing what you're doing because you're doing well." I just had all my blood work done.
Hmm.
Everything came up. My triglycerides were like 51.
Yeah, that's great.
Uh, the cholesterol was a little bit high, but 202, I think, or
Yeah.
150, something like that. But anyways, the only thing that was kind of up there was the A1C. And he said,
Hmm.
"You know what? You're doing great. Blood
Yeah.
pressure's good. I'm not, what is it, obese anymore.
Right.
And
Right. Yeah.
I'm a size 6. So I like that. I go to the
Yeah.
thrift store and I buy whatever I want. So I want to focus on that. I want to have a 6 pack. That's what
Ain't,
I want to
there's
have.
nothing wrong with
I'm
that.
gonna have a 6 pack, and it's not gonna be through surgery. I'm gonna do it, and you know what? If it doesn't, if I have a little bit of saggy skin, it's okay. But I know that I'm gonna try my best, and what you see is what you get, right?
Right. That's right.
So, and
Well,
then with that, people could follow my example, and then they
yes.
could go ahead and do the same thing.
Well, I'm inspired, and I'll say this
Oh,
to
thank you.
anybody. Yeah, well, I think what you want to do, you want to measure success in different ways. And yeah, some people are more insulin resistant. We talked a little bit offline about C-peptide. Make sure your doctor checks your C-peptide just in case you're not making a lot of insulin, and that could be an issue. So at the end of the day, though, you'll be in a much better place by doing this than if you had not done this. You probably, who knows what would have happened to you. So I'm
Probably
really
would have had
happy.
another heart attack or
Seriously, another
something.
heart
I
attack. So
know. Yeah.
get a fasting insulin level, get a C-peptide, get a coronary artery calcium score. Make sure your doctor does all these tests if you're watching. So how can people find you on social media? Are you out there anywhere in the social media
Well,
sphere?
what is it called? I'm a virgin podcaster, I guess. I don't
Okay,
know.
yes, right.
This is my first interview ever.
Cool.
So
I
I'm
have that
like,
privilege.
thank you.
It
You're the
won't be your
godfather.
last. It won't be your last.
So right now I'm just starting with my name,
Okay.
mariagrangeno.com.
Okay,
And
cool.
that's it. Or my email is info@mariagrangeno.com. But I'm gonna
Excellent.
start producing the Spanish videos, or Spanglish.
Yeah,
That's what
we
we call
need
it in
it.
San
We
Antonio.
need it.
Spanglish. Yeah, yeah.
That's a great thing to
So
say, because we're gonna leave this interview so you can go. So I'm gonna do some closing comments. We're gonna get you off my interview so you can hook up my son Brandon Hampton. We'll make sure to have that episode on the Protecting Your Nest podcast channel as well. And so I'm excited. Thank you so much,
no,
Maria,
thank you.
for
Oh my
blessing
God, you're
us.
godsend. No,
Well,
you are. You
we're
are.
we're
You
doing,
you took the time to talk to me. I'm amazed.
yes.
I
Well,
can't believe it. I didn't think you were gonna. I messaged you and I'm like, yeah, right. 1 in a million. He's too popular. You messaged me right away. So thank you so much. I appreciate you.
we got
And your
this.
wife too.
Yeah, and I can't wait to introduce you to her. So thank you, Maria.
Yeah, you guys
Okay.
have to come over.
Yeah, so thank you for sharing your story of healing, and most importantly, having the dedication to help others. So I appreciate you for that. if I could have magic, I would duplicate Maria over and over again.
Oh.
Yes, I would. And because you give hope to people who need to hear this message, Spanish speaking and others. So thank you for that. But anyway, for those who are checking out this episode, just make sure to understand that you can reverse chronic medical conditions with the right information, right? So let's share in the comments. If you've done it already, inspire somebody. Share it in the comments. Let somebody know you've done it. If you're just getting started, talk about your struggles. It's okay to struggle. Always remember that we made, we have guests on the podcast who are doing video shorts. We have, we're doing the whole animated thing with my wife. So make sure you go to the YouTube channel to check that stuff out. And again, comment and let people know so we can grow and help people get the message. So thank you so much for joining us today. If you have a Spanish-speaking friend or family member who needs to hear this message in Spanish, Maria and Brandon Hampton of the Ritmos Negros podcast will help you do that as well. So thank you so much. And until the next episode of the Protecting Your Nest podcast, continue to be safe, be well, and continue to protect your nest. You've been listening to Protecting Your Nest with Dr. Tony Hampton. For more, visit drtonyhampton.com.